And the first order of business is, did everyone get a chance to look at the meeting, the minutes of the meeting?
Yes.
For February?
Make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You notice my name was in the special motion
Okay.
for the last month's meeting.
Okay. And next one, review and approve bills and expenses with our newly elected treasurer, who also wasn't here for that.
Well, I do have a report, so,
Sweet.
let's see, expensive, $163 for postage for dock renewals, $48 for Telegram Gazette notice for late refill ad, and $107.25 for staff payroll to send out the notice to abutters.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we accept minutes and not challenge the new treasurer on any of his expenses at this time.
Do I have a second to that unnecessarily long motion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Abstained? Okay, so voted. Unanimous. And seriously, thanks, Ken, for stepping up to do that.
Angela does all the work, so
Well, thanks for being the figurehead.
you're welcome.
Commissioners' reports. I will start off. It's been a good month, I guess. The ice is coming off the lake. I think it's all out now, so it's been off in Flint Pond for like a week or so. So that's all good stuff. The dam, we did our last raising of the gate, we'll say, yesterday. So that's all the way up. The lake should be up the pool. I think we're about 3 or 4 inches, from the measurement that we see at the Irish Dam. Also, the Irish, and I don't know if you were aware of this, but Grafton had called DCR to get the sandbags. There was, during the construction of the when we put, we placed the gate, there were some sandbags in there. So DCR went down and they hired a diver, and they went in there and they got 24 sandbags out of the pond, both upstream and downstream from where the gate was put in. So that's all clear. It looks good over there, and everything was running good on the gate, so everything looks to be in order, and we'll kind of button that up. Hopefully, we won't have any issues until the spring. Now we're gonna. We still have to. The water still has to come up to a little bit higher level when it gets over what they call the OG. The OG is kind of the spillway on the dam. So when it gets up over that, then we know that we're doing good. If it's a constant flow over that, it means that we've probably had some rain events, which we really haven't had a lot of rain events this opening season. So that's kind of slowed things down a little bit. So from my perspective, in front of at least my place, the water's still not quite up as high, but like I said, I don't think we're very far from it. So that's all good news. For now, that's all I have for a report. Mr. Pica.
Mr. Chair, I did a survey up and down the lake, and for the record, it appears that principally the whole lake was iced out on 3/22/2019. For anybody so interested, so takes note. I agree, Mr. Chair, the level's only about 2 to 3 inches from where it was last year. And to comment about that briefly, some people may say that it seems to be a little higher on average. You have to remember that until the dam was repaired, it had some gaping holes in it. So the lake was probably not up to the height of the dam as often, because there was a lot of leakage. You can correct me on that, Mr. Chair. I think you were a principal investigator in terms of taking note of that. Some other news. It appears that the eagles on the island laid their eggs around March 10th. There's somebody out that's got a camera on it, and take a note of that. They're going to probably hatch around April 15th. And there's apparently one juvenile from last year that is wintered over. And that bird, relative to the habits of eagles, will probably shoot away once the eggs that they have in a nest now hatch. I guess that's their habit. Mr. Chair, I did attend the March 7th meeting at the Blackstone Valley Center. It was well attended. That was really good to see. A reflection, Mr. Chair. I look around here, and I looked at the crowd there that night, and I just have to say that I would love to see some people, in terms of numbers, in his 20s and 30s, get involved. Let me put it in simple English. I look around and I see a lot of people there who are concerned citizens, but they, like myself, they got gray hair. And it would be wonderful to see somebody who's, running with the flag in terms of environmental issues that's 25, 30, 35 years old. And I just make an appeal for people to show some stewardship in terms of maintaining their environment, Lake Quinsigamond as well as other places. It's been great in the past when there's been April shore cleanings to see some children of some, with their parents of abutters who've been cleaning up, and that's great. I would love to see some more of it, Mr. Chair, and I just have concerns that we need to try to get younger people more so involved in this. I have to make that comment, Mr. Chair. Other than that, people are boating. The day after the ice was out, I saw a boat. 2 days later, I myself was out in the boat on the lake. So, and tonight, people were rowing on the lake. So, the rowing, boating season has begun. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Okay, the phone lines are open. If any young people are out there and they want to call in, please do so. You can run up here and sign up. Thank you. Officer Valieri is not here. Captain Steele.
I was also at that meeting. I hadn't noticed the aging group of people that were there. I thought they were all pretty young people myself, but no.
They were younger than you.
Mr. Pike makes a good point. It was a well-attended meeting. It was nice to see all of the people there. But I got to tell you that Jackie did such an awesome job. There were several people from the commission were there and saw the presentation. And I have to reiterate, I've said it before, that I think we're very fortunate to have Jackie helping us with our lake here. She's done a tremendous job with the lakes that are just contained in Worcester. So I'm appreciative of the presentation she did. It was a good job. I think it's very exciting what's going to happen in Indian Lake. I can't wait to see the results of that. Second to that is I have had discussions with my neighborhood response team. They're putting together a team to patrol the lake this summer. We just received the schedule from the fire department. It's a public safety boat we're going to be sharing, and so we'll be doing some joint events with that. We also got the list of events the fire department usually attends. We'll probably have police and fire together on that boat during those events. And by next meeting, I may have a little bit better idea of how often we're going to be on the lake. It looks like it'll be towards the end of the week and the weekends is what looks like we'll try to fill in. And it will be mostly daytime hours for us. So that's where we are right now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
And that's my report.
Well, it's excellent news on the law enforcement front. I'm going to concur with Roger that event, the State of the Lakes event was a great thing. Jackie did a fantastic presentation. It was really, I would say dumbed down, but it was. I've been in the technology business most of my career, and it's difficult to take a complicated subject and make it compelling and understandable to people who aren't scientists or aren't tech people. And I think that she really accomplished that. She really laid it out there and took, because it is a very complicated issue, and, Lake Quinsigamond is not the only lake, and I think all the other ponds in the city probably share some, if not all of the issues we have. I don't know if there's any ponds out there that have 9 invasives in them, but, they each have a little piece of what we got going on here. So, and it was, she explained it in a way at least I could understand, and I thought that was important. And that's, I think, is going to be a thing that's going to help us compel, people to get involved, because even if you're not, young and fit, it's still a good thing to get involved in the lake and get things done, because there's a lot to be said for experience too. So, anyone who wants to get involved, please feel free to do so. But great job, Jackie. So thank you for that.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to point out one other thing. That was a well-attended event, and there were also refreshment served, so I'm not sure if there was, we might look at that.
Well, I think that's actually a great point, and I'm looking forward to the city catering the Lake Commission meetings, because they did a good job with that.
You're liable to go hungry.
That was a great thing. They pulled it off for that. Okay, so Mr. Polito.
No report.
No report. Okay. Mr. Conway.
No report, although I would add to Mr. Pica that we had the Massachusetts Association of Conservation Commissions, I don't know if you guys went to it, the most recent one, the annual conference, and I'd say the age groups were definitely spread out quite a bit, so there's hope. There's quite a few younger people.
Coming up.
I'd say mostly town employees, conservation agents and that such, so, but it was a good split.
Where's that, Vegas?
I wish.
Yeah.
Holy Cross.
Vegas, Holy Cross.
It's in Upton.
Yep.
Okay, so, Ms. Emery.
I have no report.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Smitis.
I have no report either or also, but I would also like to take a moment to reiterate what has been said before. I thought that Jackie did a wonderful job at the meeting in a nice setting. It was a great place to have a meeting of that type, and I thought it was very, very well done. I learned a lot, and I enjoyed being there a lot. Very, very well done. Thank you.
Yeah, and if anyone has not been there yet, it is a great place. It really is. They did a nice job with it. It's a nice facility, and the walking trails are the ones I've been on. I kind of went on the boring end, but it's just a really nice facility. I was surprised how what a good job they did there. So kudos. Is that state or city, or what? Who runs that thing?
There's a city portion, a city park, and
Yeah.
then it also goes into the National Heritage Corridor. So it's, the visitor center is part of that, but there's the park to the north, the near Holy Cross is city.
So the one with the cool like bridges and stuff and walkways, that's city?
That's city,
Yeah. That's the one I didn't go on, but I'm gonna do that because I can see it from the road.
There
That's
was
really
snow on it the night we were there.
Yeah. Well, I was there in the fall, and I went to the Walmart side, which wasn't as exciting. So, the Walmart parking lot. So it was still fun. And last but not least, Mr. Nelson.
Only one comment with regard to Mike's comment about rowing on the lake started. As far as the rowing club is concerned, they have the 4-oar rule in effect until the water gets much, much warmer.
Okay. So the 4-oar rule is,
Two singles, you have to have at least 2 singles because each single has 2 oars, or you
Yeah.
could have a pair with 4 oars, or of course a 4 or an 8 has more than 4 oars. But basically this keeps isolated singles from going out in the water by themselves.
okay, that makes sense. All right, so next is update on refilling the lake, and I already let the cat out of the bag on that one, so looks like we're, unless anyone has any questions or discussions about that part of it.
Just if I can make a comment, Mr. Chair. It's good to see relative to this change of the seasons and the inevitable storms, be it rain or snow, that unlike a couple years ago, the lake fortunately filled right back up, and that was a good thing to see. Thank goodness we're not in some drought cycle where it's, the lake's down for a month and a half, couple feet, and gets everybody concerned, which happened only a couple years ago, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
We had the holes in the dam then.
Yeah, well, it did coincide. It literally coincided. It was the same summer we had a drought and we had holes in the dam. So when everyone was kind of, the feedback we were getting that the lake was really low, and, we were thinking, oh, it's just, it's a drought, so of course it's gonna be low. But then, I kind of took a second look at it, and I'm going, it's
There
really
were
low.
big gaping holes.
Yeah, it was really low, so that's kind of when we discovered that we had some problems.
Yeah.
Had some holes in the pail. So, it's all good now, thanks to the state of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Review and act on the following event requests. We have an application from UMass rowing team to hold practice on the lake in May. Is this,
That's the application.
May 14th and 16th. So this is not is there anyone here from UMass?
No,
No.
this is the men's rowing program, and they're just having practices the 14th, 15th, and 16th. They'll practice in the morning, and then they'll come back early afternoon. I had told them that, and that they wanted to row at 3 o'clock, but I said there's too many of the local teams during that time.
Yeah.
So they're just gonna do it.
These are weekdays.
Yes.
Tuesday, Wednesday, and
Tuesday,
Thursday,
Wednesday, Thursday? Okay.
or Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
I guess they did it before last year, but never came before this board. But
Oh, I'm glad they did that.
Now, when you say, are these UMass people out of Amherst, Lowell, or
Amherst.
Amherst? Okay. Will they expect to use the lanes that they set up for the races? Is that presumptive, I mean, on my part?
Are they gonna be in,
Yeah, they'll go in next week.
the lanes? Okay, so, I guess, right.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard to avoid using them. At that point, right? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and practice, just.
Now-
We'll stay on the lanes.
Presumptively, they're coming here because my son went to UMass Amherst. I think they might use the Connecticut River
They do.
routinely.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
And so they're coming here
practice in
because
Connecticut.
of
That sounds dangerous.
the lakes, the lake's lanes and the lack of current and that kind of thing. I'm just curious as to why they,
Seen big
Something
waves in
different.
that river.
Yeah,
okay.
it'd be interesting to see what they're doing, or maybe
It's pretty wide.
what race do they compete in?
I've seen some big
Patrick,
waves.
you know?
They
Here?
competed at the New England Championships, but this would be after that, so my guess is this would be for the ACRA Championships, which is all the club programs in the country.
Is that in Lake Quinsigamond, or is
No,
that some
that's
other?
I think it's in Oak Ridge, Tennessee this year.
Okay. Oh, so they go around? Has it ever been here? No?
It never will either. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, fine. So, we have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Okay, motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstained? Okay, so voted, unanimous.
If we had turned them down, that would have
So
been.
presumptively, he had no conflict with that.
Kill up.
He would have spoke up.
Okay, so this next one is a vote on the approval of ESS's water quality compliance monitoring. Part of our permit is we have to, monitor the water quality after we do the treatments and do some reporting back. So we have that data and it's available, so the conservation commissions from the communities have that in front of them. So We have in the past contracted that out to an agency and gone out for bid. We did ask for a proposal from ESS to do that. I think the proposal came out to about $7,200, and there was some things in there that weren't related to the permit that we really don't have to do, which involves testing the vertical water, if I'm saying this right, the water quality in the vertical column in the lake. So going a little deeper, digging a little deeper, going down, drilling down a little deeper, just to see what was going on. That's one thing that I think that we ought to be looking at in the future, because we really want, as we discussed last year, to kind of bring back the fish, the holdover fish population, and I think that's where we may be having those problems, is somewhere in there. And Jacqueline's discovered that we do have some oxygen problems in some parts of the lake, deeper than on the surface. But in discussions with Jacqueline, Worcester's already doing a lot of testing on the lake, and so we may be able to pair up or piggyback onto that. And if that's something you want to discuss?
Do you want me to talk about what we do versus what they do?
Right.
Or if we can do it in lieu of paying them, right?
What our options are, if you guys can give us an option to,
Do you want me
please come on up. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
No, that's fine. So I was looking over the proposal from ESS, and it is very thorough. They visit the lake, I believe, 3 or 6 times throughout the summer, and I think 3 times, and they go to 6 locations. And they test for, let me just pull it up, I don't want to miss anything. Dissolved oxygen, turbidity, Secchi, depth, total phosphorus, total nitrogen, and they do a vertical profile. That was the
Right.
going up and down the water column.
That's what I was looking for, profile.
We, part of the Worcester Lakes and Ponds program, we do quite a few of those parameters already. We do them in 2 locations in the lake, but we go twice a month, so we actually do quite a few more sampling trips. Again, most of these are not required by the permits for the Conservation Commission. They are good to have, just so that you understand the state of your lake. However, they are also, the state of your lake can also be found in our annual reports from the City of Worcester. So it's really up to you about, we are willing to modify our program a bit if you find that you have some other needs that you want fulfilled. It just doesn't seem like, it just seems like it might be duplicating a little bit of work to do both this contract and also have this sampling going on at the same time. We do have this data, it's available, and I could get it to you whenever you need it, in whatever form you need it in. So I just thought I'd put that out there before you voted on having more sampling taken for the same parameters.
Can I ask
So-
a question about
So
that?
you're saying we don't have to do any of this? You can get even the sampling information? Or,
So
or you're
I
saying just
have
the
I have
temperature
the
stuff?
order of conditions here, and what the order of conditions asks you to do is during the winter month, evaluate dissolved oxygen, and during the summer months to evaluate nutrients. There's not really much specificity about the amount of times you have to go out, the locations. It's really quite vague. And so this proposal, while it will give you some information in various parts of the lake, it's not necessarily better collecting that information than what we're already doing.
So if you can set the testing so that we're in compliance with the permit.
Yeah, so I already test for nutrients and dissolved oxygen. And in addition to that, if you are interested in these other parameters, I do dissolved oxygen, Secchi disc depth, total phosphorus. I do 2 types of nitrogen. I don't do total nitrogen. But then again, I also do the vertical profiles, as they mention in here. So the only things that I don't currently do from this is a turbidity sample and total nitrogen. I do ammonia and and nitrate, which are 2 species of nitrogen.
And those tests aren't required by our permit? Those are just tests
The
that
permit
they're
is
planning?
vague, it just says
Okay.
nutrients, so, yeah.
I recommend we have Jacqueline's gang do the testing rather than ESS. If they can produce a report that puts us in compliance with the permit, we got commissioners that might be able to give us a better idea.
We have, so we would have some end product on this, some, as a report that we report back to, the permit's asking us to report back to the commissions, to the Concomms to give them that data. Is there any analysis that we have to do with that, or
Right,
is
so.
it kind of a state of the lakes thing for them, or?
So we do the State of the Lakes, we've done that for the last 2 years now. I'm currently working on the 2018 water quality report specifically for Lake Quinsigamond. It's gonna look like the 2017 one, which we found on the Lakes and Ponds website. This is a 17-page document that discusses the results of my testing for the entire summer and goes into each parameter, the results, and and basically those graphs that you saw in the State of the Lake explained.
Right.
So,
Cool, so, and that would resolve our commitment to the Concomms,
Up
to
to
the
this
permit.
point, we haven't used these to comply, but I don't see why this wouldn't fulfill those obligations. I would defer to those members of the Conservation Commission before you make that decision.
Any feedback from you folks?
I don't know what's in the order, I haven't seen it. Could you read the Shrewsbury order, or does it mirror everybody else's? It does?
Yeah, it's just similar to the Worcester and Grafton.
Yeah. So,
That's fine then.
Is that order available online at the Worcester's
I'll
website?
go with it.
I got this from our conservation agent.
Okay.
Yep.
And the fees, are there fees involved in it?
This is sampling that I'm already doing for the city of Worcester, so all of the results are free and available to the public.
So no fee?
There's no.
I'm leaning towards Jackie, just so you know.
I mean,
Well, can I make
Sure.
Mr. Chair, if I heard this correctly, otherwise we would have to be expending $7,200.
yes, those are the 2 options.
So $7,200 is
Just
money.
pretend that we're thinking real loud
Well,
about this.
we have to kind of consider what we're, both sides, what we're getting, what we're not getting. Bob?
Jackie, I got a question to Jackie. So at the locations that ESS picked, would they give us any more information? I don't remember where you guys stand.
Right, so that's another thing. So I sampled the 2 deepest areas of the lake, in addition to the major tributaries by volume. There are some other sampling sites that they pick, because they have 6 sampling sites, and some of those are in Flint Pond, for example, which is a site of treatment.
You might want to keep that one. You might want to keep one in Flint Pond.
Right, and that's something that I would be willing to work with the commission on if it's a matter of just adding another sampling site a few times a year, just to make sure we cover all our bases. We're willing to work
Are there
with
any
that.
other sites, any other treatment sites especially that you don't treat, that you don't test in, that they are proposing to test in?
Let me just pull up the permit, I have not looked at
I think one of the concerns with Flint Pond, because there was a hike in the phosphorus. Was it the phosphorus level, or? It's a phosphorus level, right? It was just, something spiked last year. We didn't understand why.
I
Right.
just wanna keep track of that. So maybe
And-
behind Stringer Dam, I don't know if there's another location there, but.
I do test at the outlet as well.
Okay.
Yep.
At Stringer Dam,
No, at the Irish Dam.
at the Irish Dam.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Stringer Dam,
Good. Maybe don't need flip phones.
well, we just, because we're not treating it, we're not treating behind the Stringer, we're not treating south of the, we don't treat anything south, we don't treat anything north of Route 20 at this point. I'm sorry, that's not accurate. We don't treat anything north of Route 20 and south of, like I say, Corzini, but, you know, it's up north. You know, we're treating over by that cove behind, you know, the just north of 290 and over there. So we
West
have,
Main Street.
there's a big gap in between. I guess I'm gonna say, let's say we treat north of Route 9 and south of Route 20. And we're not treating in the main body of Quinsig and Half Moon Bay and because of the VCI.
Correct. So there might be one or two spots that several times during the summer I can add on, just so we get a
Okay.
better idea of that. And so I guess I'm just putting it out there, if you do want to work together at creating a sampling plan that's representative, that's not necessarily going to completely revamp what we're already doing, that's just an option. Additionally, if there are other reasons that ESS is proposing this particular scope of service for some other reason, it would be good to know that, so that we could consider that if we were to make, if it's appropriate to continue to use what I'm sampling. Additionally, they also perform some weed, no, I believe it's Solitude is, no, ESS does the survey.
ESS is just doing the tech stuff, and then the application itself,
Yes.
chemical application is done by or whoever, but,
So ESS does the surveys at the
Yeah,
end.
yeah,
So,
yep.
so, but that's generally a separate report anyway.
yes,
So
yeah.
there would, we could provide the information to ESS if they felt it was relevant to include in their
Okay.
report for.
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons that ESS is kind of comprehensive in this is because I asked them to be that way, because, you know, ultimately, you know, I believe that we should be expanding testing in all parts of the pond,
Right.
especially the parts we're treating, and to kind of grow that effort. Because there's just so much stuff that we don't know, you know, and there's whatever, over 400 outfalls coming in, and we gotta, you know, including the streams, and, you know, most of it's wastewater, sorry, stormwater. But, you know, there are some significant, you know, streams coming in through the pond as well. So, and plus we're getting fed from Newton Pond and upstream from there. So, you know, that, I think, I'd like to, you know, keep expanding our testing. And that may be something that Worcester wants, you know, that you guys want to get involved in because you're good at it. Or it may be something that you're saying, well, you know, we can do this much, but we don't want to do the whole thing. So,
Well,
but definitely, you know,
yeah.
we collaborate would be a great thing.
Yeah, and during the portion of the meeting where we talk about what we're doing next year, I do have some updates on that as well.
Okay,
So, yeah, I'll talk about that in a second, but, yeah, so I just wanted to leave that as an option. Maybe it's worth having a separate conversation where we put them side by side and think about what the goals are and see what tweaks we can make. Or maybe, you know, ultimately decide that you wanna go with ESS after all. I just wanted to put it out there that, you know, this sampling is going on right now, and the data is free and available to the public. And in what I hope is a very comprehensive report.
I make a motion, we explore using the city of Worcester for our testing and reporting for the treatment that we're gonna be doing to comply with orders.
Second.
okay. Just, I have a question, explore.
Explore, sit down, put them side by side.
Put the side by side, okay,
In
good.
the event that they're
Perfect.
equal product, that we go ahead and have the city of Worcester do it.
Second that motion.
You'd have to third it. Can I reset?
Okay.
So we have a third, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, so voted, unanimous. Thank you
And,
very
yeah,
much.
we'll talk about when we can do that.
Actually, do we want to do that
Take it out, yeah, take her now.
at a meeting, our next meeting, or do you want to do something offline and have a committee, or how do you, what's the pleasure of the board? I'm fine with the subcommittee, we can just kind of go through that and not have to do it with everybody in a meeting.
Question regarding where the proposal for ESS came from. Did we actively seek them, or did they?
Oh, no, we sought them out.
You sought them out?
Yeah, I mean, they've been doing work for us for a long time, we have limited choices to do that stuff, although it's expanding. I noticed at the Watershed Association meeting last year that there's quite a few companies coming up, so that's good from a competitive standpoint, but, they've been good with us, and they know the pond, and they know our issues and all that, so it's kind of a natural fallback to go after them. And at one point, Solitude and Solitude did all the testing, and they did application as well, and then they kind of just wanted to get into the application part of it. They didn't want to do the testing and the reporting and all that stuff, so.
So we have a history of ESS doing testing for us?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And they helped us with the plan, they helped us get the permits last year. That was ESS. So,
And prior to Jackie, we had no way of completing testing. There was no way for us to get it done.
right, prior to the Lakes and Ponds program, we didn't have any of that stuff available, any other, especially in Lake Quinsigamond. So, that's a boom for that. All right?
All right, do you want me to just do the Lakes and Ponds stuff now, or?
Yeah, well, I guess while you're sitting there, I'll yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to first thank everyone who came out to the State of the Lakes. It was really great to see so much representation from Lake Quinsigamond through both the commission and from the association. So, yeah, that was really great to have you all there supporting that. I understand that some people were not able to make it, so I was going to offer to, I think last year I did as well, gave a presentation at one of the commission meetings of just the Quinsigamond results, if that's something that you would be interested in. But we could talk about that later if you want.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah.
great, yeah, so we can talk about putting that on the.
all right, we'll talk and get it on the agenda.
Yeah, so basically during the presentation, the first part of the event was representatives from the commission and from the Watershed Association sharing a poster that they submitted information for with the public, and then after that we had a formal presentation where I talked about the goals of the Lakes and Ponds program, as well as the results from our monitoring program and some of the projects we have in store for Lake Quinsigamond specifically. Briefly talking about that, we are moving forward. We had a contractor come out to start evaluating the site at Coal Mine Brook for a focal point, which is an engineered rain garden, to begin planning for that, and we hope to work with the Watershed Association to getting some signage there. So we're moving forward with that project. In addition, next year we are going to be adding new parameters to the testing at Lake Quinsigamond. They're not going to be every other month, it's going to be like a survey of pretty much everything in the middle of the lake, just to see what's there. The parameters or the tests that we're going to be running include volatile organics, avian extractables, pesticides, metals, PFAS and PFOA, PCBs, and TPHs, so quite a few there. We're hoping just to take 2 samples in the middle of the lake throughout the summer, just to see where we are at, and if there's anything we need to focus on in the future. And yeah, because that whole list is very expensive altogether. So yeah, so that's where we're at. Oh, and the last thing is we are starting our cyanobacteria monitoring program once again. This is a volunteer program. in which volunteers are trained to collect water quality samples from any lake or pond. It doesn't need to be just Lake Quinsigamond, but even lakes and ponds in Shrewsbury would be eligible to be part of this program to learn how to take a sample with a plankton net and then bring the sample once a month to, well, our new laboratory is now going to be the Heritage Corridor Visitor Center, where we had the State of the Lakes. So it's a really nice facility where you get to look at the sample under a microscope and evaluate what the phytoplankton community consists of, whether it's algae, green algae, golden algae, or cyanobacteria, the blue-green kind that we're all looking out for. So the program is expanding beyond just lakes and ponds in Worcester. Lake Quinsigamond, of course, was one of them, but now if there are other lakes in Shrewsbury or Grafton that are interested in participating in this program, we have our training and information session on the 23rd of April at 6 p.m. at the Bancroft School Fieldhouse in Worcester on Shore Drive. And I could send that flyer if you think it would be of interest to the commissioners or anyone else in Shrewsbury or Grafton that lives near a lake or pond that would like to participate in this. It's a localized study, but we share the data with the entire country in a public database that's used by EPA researchers.
Yes, if you could send the copy to all of us, because sometimes we get questions from other people as well wanting to know what they could do.
Yeah, it's a really great opportunity for people of all ages to get involved. We've had kids come, and it's just, you need no background, so, yeah, it's just a commitment of one day a month, and we've had some great representation from Lake Quinsigamond for the last 2 years, and we're just hoping to see if we could expand that throughout Shrewsbury and Grafton as well.
Does it have to be a certain day, or is it just one day a month that you pick the day?
It is a Saturday morning,
Okay.
and it is, because we're using the microscopes and it's kind of we're kind of all learning together what
Okay.
we're seeing. It is during a 2-hour period that is the same every month.
Okay.
Yep.
Is that something we can put on the website?
Yeah, we can do that.
Great. Yeah,
Because
that
I'm
would be.
thinking Dean Park and Jordan Pond, maybe I can get people interested in helping with that too.
Yeah, no, we really would
Yeah.
like to get as many lakes and ponds in there as we can. Because we contributed quite a few data points last year, and we're actually, they show all the different contributors to the research database, and Worcester Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative has a pretty good showing, and so we're hoping to increase that and be this source of data on cyanobacteria and algal dynamics, which would be a really cool thing to boast.
On the cyanobacteria, how did Lake Quinsigamond score on that?
Very well, in the sense that it's not a huge concern. It's something you need to keep an eye on, but the risk of cyanobacteria bloom at Lake Quinsigamond, if it's there, would be very late in the season when people are no longer using the lake. Just because of those lake dynamics with the profiling and the mixing that I had mentioned.
That was good to hear.
So, yeah, and I could talk about that at the next, when I present all the
Okay.
data.
Jackie, was that testing on the same day as the meeting they're having for the watershed over there, or is that a different date?
The training meeting?
Yeah.
No, this is in April. It's on April 23rd, it's a Tuesday night, it's at 6 p.m. At the Bancroft School Fieldhouse.
April 23rd at 6 p.m. is the training?
And we do encourage everyone to go to the training because it can be, it's not incredibly technical, but we do want everyone to have similar collection techniques so we could compare the results. And just so that everyone knows what ponds are being tested and to reduce replication. And that's all I've got.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, discussion of the subcommittee for rule review. It's a kind of, it says over the winter here, but it's turning into more of a little ongoing effort. So, we're making some progress. We're going through some of the obvious ones, and our next meeting for that. I think what we're trying to produce here is essentially a list of recommendations to present to the commission and say, okay, these are the things that we went over, and we think that we need to either modify this or get rid of it or add a new thing on. So we're going to come back with a comprehensive list of where we think that the rules should actually be, any changes should be made. And that way, you're not going through the whole thing and debating about it, and come in with reasons why we think that would be a good thing and try to get a consensus. The good news is we really do have a great representation of the stakeholders in the lake. We have someone from the rowing and have someone from the towing community. We have people from community sailing, someone to represent the fishing side of it. We have abutters there, the watershed, so in the commission, obviously, and law enforcement once in a while.
Well represented.
Well represented there. So, and it's all important. I mean, the law enforcement is a really important
When
thing.
is the next meeting?
April 2nd, yes?
I hope not, because you won't be that well represented by law enforcement.
Okay, so we haven't set a date yet.
We have.
Okay.
We didn't decide it.
I don't know
No,
yet.
we didn't.
We didn't decide the last meeting. I thought we decided later.
I was shocked I didn't have it in my calendar, that's why.
Don't feel bad. I almost didn't make it. So, all right, so we'll set another date for that, I guess, and move on. And it's nice because I'm getting some feedback from the participants as well, that they're sending in information and updates. And I'm going to send that all around, actually. I just got one from Luke at Community Sailing regarding Coast Guard rules pertaining to right-of-way. Their interpretation of the right-of-ways. So that's all good. So I'll send that around so everyone has a chance to review it on the committee. And anyone who wants to be in on that, please feel free to attend. We'll also post a notice to the commission.
Are these all, obviously rules related to the usage of the lake? Is there anything that's bylaw related that's gonna have to get pushed up to?
Any of the rules, we have statutory authority over
Right.
the lake, so we can make rules. So yes, all of those rules, we don't have to go to town meetings or
There'd be
anything like that.
recommendations from
But we will have to have a hearing if we change anything to kind of go through and announce that we could even have it here. That's one of the things we changed in the charter last time, is actually so we can have a hearing in any of the three communities regarding that. So if it gets someplace where we're over capacity, I think the only time I remember that happening was that there was an effort to ban jet skis. So we had to move it to the Worcester Library because attendance was robust. And,
Both sides?
yeah, but the jet
Robust
ski,
discussion.
the jet skis, the jet ski community, I mean, they had the manufacturers there, attorneys, it was something to watch.
Fun was had by all.
It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't, it was,
Except for the people standing in front of us, driving their finger into us.
That was you.
It wasn't me.
Bet they were driving their finger into it.
yeah. So anyway, but that's, we would come up with a list of rules to change, and we'd have a hearing regarding those rules. And so it's all out in the open.
It always is.
And,
Sounds like trouble.
and people can come in and kind of comment on it and things like that. Which is good, it's all good, because you want the feedback and to have everybody kind of have a say in it. But that's really why I wanted to get the breadth of people representing it on the subcommittee as we could, so we could get all these angles kind of straightened out, so we don't come up with any surprises at the end of it, and the fishermen come up and say, well, hey, what about us? I mean, we're just sitting there with our line in the water, and, we're liable to get run over by a sailboat. So, it's things like that, that we want to make rules. And the rules haven't been really looked at or addressed, and I think Wayne Sampson was the chairman when the last time we did that. So, and I think Mike and Ken may have been the only other people on today's board that were actually there at the time. So, anyway, it's time.
I remember those days.
That's where we are with that.
Update from the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association.
So, the watershed. Barb, do you have, sorry.
I just wanted to remind everyone of, unless Angela already did, about the cleanup. The April 6th is a tentative date in case it snows. Then it's the date. It is the date, okay. April 6th. The Watershed Association will be at Oak Island, that's where we go every year, and Gouche Park. And, we're talking the other thing we're working on is, another thing I wanted to mention is there's a bill before the House or Senate right now for public notification of sewage overflows. It's with an emphasis on CSOs, so it's not directly affecting the city of Worcester and their overflow to the lake. But I think that the Watershed Association, we'll probably write a letter of support for that. And I would encourage other people to do that. It's primarily targeted at the Merrimack communities that take their drinking water from the river, and there's CSOs, wastewater treatment plant discharges to the Merrimack and to upstream rivers like the Concord and the Assabet. And when there's a CSO, when there's a combined sewer overflow, this bill would require the cities to notify residents of the overflow. So, so I think it's something that, we would support, I'm just letting you know that.
Yeah.
And the other piece of news was that the Lake Association applied for a DEP water quality monitoring grant, but we did not receive it this year, and we're still waiting to get full details, but primarily it was because the grant, as described, didn't meet the technical specifications, meaning it wasn't going to produce additional data that DEP could use for their assessment of surface waters in the state. We were proposed collecting at the beaches, which are already monitored by DCR. So I think we can just reconfigure and rewrite it for next year. And we also need to get a stronger volunteer monitoring group. I think that we looked weak on that. We need to get a quality assurance project plan in place that would also help. So they're planning to offer it next year. I think we'll be in better shape next year. So.
Okay, so in between then and now, does it make sense for us to move forward with, with an effort to get the quality plan, get a QAP in place, and
Yeah, I think so.
to do a recruitment campaign of some sort to get the people involved? I mean, I guess from my perspective, if what you're saying was part of the considerations for them, I'd really, next year I'd really let them to say, wow, these guys have really come a long way, and they kind of listen to our feedback.
We're competing against groups that have paid staff.
And they're already down the road. They have QAPs, they have all the stuff in place, and so it was kind of an easy decision to make for those guys.
Well, I don't know if it's easy, but it was, it's.
Well, all the things were in place. That's what I mean by easy.
I'm sorry, for the other,
Yeah.
more established groups,
Yeah.
Charles River Watershed, et cetera.
Right.
Blackstone River Coalition.
Right. Blackstone Blackstone got some money?
Blackstone, not the coalition, the Blackstone River, Blackstone River Coalition got it. There's several.
There's several Blackstone things,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it was the coalition.
What part, what?
They have paid staff. They
Right.
have, they monitor the lake, 3 locations on the lake. from
Right,
us.
because we're part of the Blackstone watershed.
Yeah. So, I think we should really try to do an outreach to get a good, 5 or 6 people that want to do the monitoring. Right now, it's Mike Liberty and Stephen Cronin, and I do a little bit, but those 2 guys do all the cyanobacteria monitoring. So we need, a few more. I think Jackie's still going to pursue doing the work that was proposed in the grant, at least some of it. But I'll let her speak to that. and we can work on the QAP, Quality Assurance Project Plan. We can pay for that and get that going, or just do it ourselves. And so there's a lot of things we can work on for next year.
Okay, I mean, I think that would make sense, and I'm speaking for me as one vote in the commission, that I know that we approved a sum of money, not to exceed sum of money last time, but I would think that it would still be a good investment to move forward. I think we talked about that when we talked about the vote last time, that you know, with or without a grant, this is something that we should be moving toward, in collaboration with Lakes and Ponds and the watershed, and getting there's just some things that the commission physically can't do because of the way we're made up. I mean, it's good that we can do some things to get us through stuff because of the way we're made up. You know, we can get permits, we can, get money from folks and stuff like that, but, we're not a 501, so we're not gonna get a grant. That's a hard no on that, I guess. So that would be good if we could collaborate with the watershed and kind of help that effort along. Then it would help Lakes and Ponds as well if we were all coordinated on that, and, in a common effort. It goes down to the testing thing, is that we really need to understand what's coming in here. It's exciting to hear the expansion of what you're doing and the the different things we're testing for. So that was nice that Lakes and Ponds is going to do that, because I think it's something that's important to have. So
That's all I have.
that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. It's always great. Okay. Continued discussions on safety concerns. I guess we'll put that back to the rule thing. It's Patrick. Just a quick thing. You guys are out there. You're rowing. So far, so good.
Docks went in today, Donnie.
Docks went in today. Super. So everything's cool so far.
Yeah, the last 3 hours. Yeah.
Oh, some people like to jump right in. Pardon
Commend
me.
Mr. Diggins for having a
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
quiet 3 hours.
I have a current safety concern.
Yeah.
There's a derelict dock that's right on Drake Island, just below the Eagle Nest. It's eventually going to get free. It's going to be a safety concern. It would be wonderful if the city of Worcester's safety boat could somehow or other put a rope on it, drag it back to
I don't think it's in the water yet.
wherever. Well, I don't think the dock's going to go anywhere until we get some more flooding rains, and eventually it'll be floating loose, floating around, but it's going to be a hazard. It's got what people describe as, those apple cider solution barrels, those blue barrels, it needs to be out of there.
Cider like a wooden.
Does it have a dock permit on it?
I have not checked that yet.
I didn't see one.
Okay,
Because we could maybe demand that someone remove it and we wouldn't have to do it.
yeah, I didn't see one either.
So there was no plate on it?
No, it's been there since last fall. So.
Yep. And
Oh,
it's-
has it?
Yep, and it's gonna, eventually it's gonna float free,
All
and
right.
someone's gonna whack into it. We've already had
Is it
issues.
aluminum?
No, it looks like wood and blue plastic barrels.
It's a beast.
Thank God. All right.
But it would be great,
Yeah, there was one,
it'd be great if you could help out.
That'd be very good.
I had an 8-slip floater, 8-slip system floating by my house 2 weeks ago.
They just float away, they just get away and float around the lake?
Yeah, I mean, in context, right, that's actually what you want it to do. If you're gonna leave your floater and you don't wanna hard attach it to the shore, because if the ice does grab it, it's gonna take that and whatever's attached to with it. So you basically tether it with a rope or something that is gonna break. And it goes out and it floats around, which is what happened to this, and they went out there and got it and dragged it back in. So
Maybe someone will do that to the eagle's nest.
yeah, well, it doesn't sound like it. If it's been out there since the fall, someone would have had to have missed that by now. And Facebook's really pretty good of, people going on and saying, hey, have you seen my dock floating by? Or last year, or 2 years ago, I think it was, there was a picture, and it was late at night, and I'm randomly going through it, and it was one of my docks floating around in the lake. So I had to go get that, but,
It's usually a function of windage, high water, and waves.
to get it right, or someone didn't tie it up right.
As long as it wasn't malicious.
No, I don't think it was stolen or anything like that. I don't think who's gonna steal a wooden dock.
We got a date for next meeting?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, one of the things that happens on time, when you see things floating around out there, you grab it, you own it. And that's been a problem on the lake, you know, who do you call to get rid of it? I had a canoe float up on me, that I actually looked at our kayak, or canoe, brought it in and called Shrewsbury Police and, you know, to try to find the owner, but I ended up, now I'm responsible for disposing of it, and that's a problem.
Yeah, no, I agree, and it's happened to me.
That's why I didn't post it on our Facebook, I saw it all.
Well, sometimes, I mean, let me put it this way, like, there's probably nobody that gets more stuff on their beach than me, because for some reason, since I've been on the commission, they think that that's what they're supposed to do with it. So they drag it over to my beach and throw it on there, and I've literally had to cut it up with Sawzalls, the wooden ones,
Right.
and drag them, and drag them up, so yeah, so I don't wanna see that one, all right? I don't wanna see that one come over. There's actually a commissioner, there's actually 2 commissioners that are closer than me
I know.
to that dock right now, but I don't know. I wish I had and maybe this is something we can discuss with Shrewsbury, on the Shrewsbury side, is to bring it over to that property, if you see it out there. What I don't want, I'm not trying to force anything down anyone's throat, but what I don't want this thing to do, because this is a hazard, so if that thing's out there floating around at night, no moon, you know, you're cruising around at 14 miles an hour under the speed limit, you're within the law, and that's gonna be a bad thing if someone whacks into the side of one of those things. So fortunately, it's sitting on the beach right now, but like Mike said, the wind comes along, the water goes up, who knows?
It's a fairly hefty structure too, it's not something you're gonna put out for the trash in the
Yeah.
morning, you know?
No, believe
There's a lot of
me.
material there, heavy, wet material.
Yeah, me and my sledge have been out there and had to break them up, more than one I've got. So,
You wouldn't want to do that right there. It potentially could
No, you wanna
actually
float it to
disturb
someplace.
the eagles. It's virtually right below their nest. It's,
no, I'm not saying do it there, I'm saying, because you're gonna have to carry it out. You want to float it to where you're gonna be able to take it out. That's why I'm thinking a place where there's a boat ramp, and the closest one I can think to there is Shrewsbury's boathouse, the police boathouse. So, I don't know, we'll talk to those guys. I'll see what their feeling is on that, and what we have to deal with it some way if it's a safety issue.
Well, they park.
We're gonna put it on Lake Park. Yeah, but then I don't know, I guess we can talk to the state.
And the state will get rid of it.
All right,
Take it out from there.
all right,
Go back to-
we'll talk to someone, yeah,
But
yeah,
back in Shrewsbury happened was
all right. So we're gonna Sawzall, cut it up under the nest, and then, yeah, all right, okay, we'll figure it out, but
Barbara can take it on cleanup day.
if it's on Oak Island, we can.
It can fit in the trash
That's where we can
bag.
bring it.
We don't do Drake Island because we're not allowed out there, okay? So, all right, I think, I'll accept it, if that's all, and a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor?
well,
Oh,
one last thing, I got my application for my docks. I sent in my check, and hopefully everybody will do that to help support the commission in its efforts to, clean up the lake and the like, okay? So, sent mine in already. Hopefully people are getting them, and they'll be also sending them in. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I hope you get approved, Mr. Piker.
Thank you.
we're gonna have to take a look at that.
The next
Okay.
meeting date?
April 24th.
April 20th.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you very much.